All right, let's establish our base pose to begin today in our bone therapy. And the patterns will be quite a few experiences of the rhythm of lengthening and the sequencing. And I want to add in a layer of strengthening into our back today. So that's going to be between balancing and that core strength layers together. So what I want you to do is have your chair so the seat is facing towards the wall. Have the distance of the chair far enough away that you can stand out in a wide reach with your legs. In fact, maybe think of this as different than a wide stance. It's like the legs reach, right? They reach your arms. You can feel that the arms can reach. That's actually a thought you might have, these reach. But thinking of the legs reaching is not necessarily a mental thought I would have in yoga. I might feel like I stretch them. So I want you to try to reach down out of the pelvis, feel how the waist is in motion up, and combine your hands together and press the palms, turning the hands inside out. If the border of the right foot doesn't favor touching the wall, then just scoot your foot a little bit away. It's not required that you're enforcing that pressure with your right foot. Now, as you lift up out of the side body, feel as if the thickness of the ribs are capable of motion and arching from ribs to spine, lengthening from the inside up, and then lengthen with the legs in that span wide, move forwards. And I want you to bend your knees here in a micro bend. You're going to let your spine actually give it the rounding that it will create here. Let your hands reach for the legs and continue that pattern of holding on to the legs, bending your elbows wide, and try to really reach out with the sitting bones, the legs down and out from the sitting bones, and then try to lower your head, your crown to the floor. So go all out with the reaching right now. See if you can find that surplus of experience and maybe visualization from your tailbone. It's like a wide angle all the way down to the feet. You almost think about like instruments of measuring or geometry. You want to feel that there's a wide reach down through your heels, and then continue to go further here by either putting your hands on the floor, okay, or your hands on blocks. Have the hands between the feet and bend your elbows, hands stretching open, and lower your head straight to the floor. And then stay there and let the weight of your head stretch your spine. So if you're struggling to push and push to get your brain farther down, relax that struggle here, if that's possible, and just simply let your head hang. Feel your seat reach up. Deep, full length in the legs, in the spine. Reach your hands out wide, all the way to the ankles, elbows open. Try to go further and deeper here where you're holding your ankles and your elbows are wide. Now lock the hands, fingertips pressing down. So spider the fingers, the hands open. Walk the hands farther forward as if you're taking more weight into the balls of the feet. And then here, we lift up a hand to a hip. We bend the knees. We lift up the other hand. And as you start to move up all the way to a tall spine and a stretching open leg pattern, we're going to put that right outer foot against the base of the wall. Pivot the left foot to the chair so the toes turn all the way under the chair, so you have that external rotation with the left thigh and foot, And then let's start to lean into that left leg, and we're going to take the chair underhand to create a side reach triangle pose, encouraging that right arm to flow up, okay? I like to experience this with the wall where my right hip is tilting, right? My right heel is anchored, and then as I feature leaning in, if I can bend my left elbow, I try to work with a straight left arm here versus lowering down to my forearm, and continue that reach with the right arm. Stretch it over the side of the face, alleviate your neck by turning and actually looking up at that inner right arm. And now as we explore length in our sides, continuing to trace the outline of the body, let's lower the right hand to the chair, and that creates a pivot through the hip. Your head turns. See if you can guide yourself with your own kind of intuitive movement. Not waiting for any type of outline from me, but the sequence will guide itself in some ways. So when I pivot my hips and I lift my back heel up at the wall now, I'm facing down to the chair, I'm going to go ahead and adjust the chair a little forward. Maybe too far there, a little forward so my hands are on the sides of the chair seat. And then as I step the left foot back, you're going to feel your heels up on the wall and lean forward and lengthen, lift up, stretch through the throat. So it's a version of an upward facing dog. Okay, now feel that accumulation of power in the arms. And I want you to let the hips move back and stretch back your heels to the flooring so they're all the way pressing down. And then walk your feet a little closer to the chair and bring your elbows down to the chair and maintain this for a moment where you have your elbows, actually the elbows, not just the forearms, but the elbows, even if your hands are a little bit off the chair seat on the back. And feel where the muscles are into the inner arms. Now we're not going to do a bicep curl, that would probably be awkward on your bones. But get a feel here where your shoulders shrug back, lift up on your tippy toes so heels are up, bending the knees, and let your brain center between the arms. If the hands are trying to slide closer together, you might hook your thumbs on the chair so the hands are not encouraged to draw together. Stretching through the shoulders. And then we lower the heels, we let the hands release, we slide back. We may end up scooting the chair closer in. I want you to position your right heel back, the left foot under the chair. We just had that same pattern, but this time, right heel all the way to the base of the wall, so heel down for a pose called Parsvottanasana. So keeping the trunk lengthening and reaching both hands up to the back bar of the chair. Filling up the left hamstring. Fill it up. Try to levelize your hips so you're not capable of doing too much wagging on this pose. Switch sides, right foot forward, left foot back. Carefully create that reach of the left heel towards the floor. That calf hasn't been warmed up as much as the other side. So as you guide your right leg from bending, maybe to lengthening, I would go a little bit easy on it. Alternate a little softening of the knee, a little lengthening of the leg. Okay, but get that feel of that sensation through the left calf. And then lower down both hands. Pivot your back left foot. So the outer edge of that left foot is against the wall. And go on to straighten the right leg and reach the left arm open. So you're in a triangle pose. Left arm reaches, waist turns, and that right thigh. And perhaps your knee presses back on this one. So I would be careful to bend it And feel the strength of the muscles above the knee, the thick thigh. Feel that as if it's counter rotation. There's a little bit of this external rotation without the foot turning out. So be clear that your right foot is not turning out. Then go on to that left arm over the side of your face and turn to look up at it. Yes, it seems obvious that you might want to turn to look down to the chair seat, but it's not bad to let the neck have this range of motion, to look up. This is what was meant to be in this pose, is to look up at the inner arm, right? To elongate through the whole front of the spine. Breathing. Yeah, let your tail become free here. Don't get too harsh on tucking under or tightening at the pelvic space. Feel some length. And then we come up this time, we lift up both arms, and we're going to turn towards the chair, and let's do this. Let's step forward with our left foot, step both feet back, and then as we lift our right foot up on the chair seat itself, I want you to maintain this motion of fluidity here in your torso. So we turn to the right, okay? Right hand at the wall. If you're too close, you're going to gently scoot your chair a little bit forwards. Maybe do a little hopple so that your left foot is established parallel underneath that hip bone. Right hand to the outer side of that left leg. Turn your right hand back and your thumb up. If this is hurtful in the shoulder, you'll need to modify, but I would encourage your modification not to be the fingers up only, because that can cause a little bit more stiffness here. So you might bend your elbow, right? You might turn it a little bit, not as much, and you might focus on the lift of the chest. So I let my head be centered, maybe close my eyes and feel where the fueling in the body is, where it's in the legs. And it's pretty cash here with the left arm. It's turning you, but it's not forcing. Okay, now right arm comes off the wall. You're going to reach it forwards, across the chest. Left arm scoops up the right arm, palm open. So what do we have? We have a left palm open, a right palm down. We'll make a palm olive here. So we're going to intertwine the arms. And if the hands can come together in some form, that would be ideal. If your left thigh gets tired, the top of the thigh bone, it's weight bearing, you can always step out of the pose. Keep the arms lifting up. You can step down, maybe bend your knees, get a little juice into the hips and thighs, and step back up with the right foot. It's part of that pattern of reframing and holding that body weight. Okay, so my arms are lifting up. I'm going to open out through the arms. Reach down by the sides, so the arms are in a pretty stern pattern, chest open. And then as I work my way to switch sides, I want you to step simple, bend the knees in more of a chair pose. Visualize you have a block between them. So place that block between them with your mind so that you have space between the knees. And feel the arms by you and see if you can frame opening the chest. As if you have a bar behind you that you're holding on to, or a table, and your concentration is on stretching open the ribs. And then hands onto the hips. The left foot steps up onto the chair seat. It's quite simple. And we turn to our left. So left hand back at the wall. Okay, balance and neutralize. If this is a different sensation in your standing leg already, noticing these things. Right? Noticing where the balances are, the imbalances, where your work is going to be. So turning that left hand, rotate through the chest, not just the spine. So feel chest, feel spine. Now slide the left hand from the wall, cross the arm over the right arm. Yeah, I forget the hand pattern sometimes. It's good to remember. Right hand down, left hand open, and then wrap the arms. In fact, it's kind of a wrapping. It's a twist of the arms, but as we layer, the essence of this is that we're lifting up the elbows towards the ceiling. Use this as your balancing pose. If this hip is feeling better with the reaction, notice, feel the tone of the back of the waistline. Try to press into your standing leg so the front of the torso has that certain strength, not just the standing hip. And now as we lift up the arms, we scatter the arms back open. And we roll the shoulders and step off the chair. Okay. So we're going to change the patterns now. So I want you to grab a blanket and you're going to place that, how about up onto the chair seat. So you got a little bit of padding for a while. Who knows, maybe we'll use it for a bit. But what we'll do is we'll take our bolster. We're going to put it at the base of from the feet of the chair. I would put it towards the wall space, but you still want to have lots of room here. You don't want to have the bolster right up at the wall because your head's going to be going there. We don't want to hit the wall. So you can be farther away from the wall in this one if you choose. I'm going to keep it sort of tidy. Not too far, not too close. So let's come into this. We're going to step into the chair seat and get a block. Okay, I want you to grab a hold of your block. Let's see if you can see me well enough here. I can shift this a tiny bit. Okay, so you're going to take your block between your knees when you're sitting through the chair, and as you grasp onto that block, you want to feel inner squeeze, right? And as I hold the back bar of the chair, I'm rounding my back. I'm actually going to lean back, anticipating that I'll come back up, okay? But feel where your tush is on the chair and that there is a little bit of your back that's touching to the seat. Now as you pull yourself, I want you to pull yourself forward and actually feel that awareness, taking this several times. Be sure the block is secure. Round your back. It's okay to round your back. Feel its natural curve. But as you combine that rounding, you're holding on the chair. And then you're going to inhale and lift from the heart towards the bar of the chair. You take it upon yourself to press the heel down and then round. And it doesn't have to be excessive rounding, but you feel the right amount of rounding for you to combine strength in your arms. Hold, center, inhale, and exhale one more time. Now can you be here and squeeze that block, squeeze the block, last hold with your arms. Just a little, you're still grabbing the back of the chair, the bar. Now when you come up about half of the way of your lift. See if you can lift the heart, still hold the chair, and then come all the way up to sitting on the bones of the seat. And as you center your seat on the chair, grab the seat of the chair. I'm going to scoot my blanket up and place that around my low back so I can grab the actual real stuff of the chair. Even if it's got the mat on it, I'm able to conform my fingers around the seat and stretch the top of my hand. So as I condition the chest to open, feel where the shoulders move back. Okay, let's use this as a heading into a rotation. So I press down to my sitting bones. I squeeze into the block. And then I reach my left arm around the back bar of the chair, and I'm going to turn on the exhale. So I'm not forcing my arms to struggle me around. You may not go very far without muscles, right? So we have to engage the muscles to build the bone. So encourage you to feel that hand on the seat of the chair and see if you can move it a little bit back to the seat of the chair through the clutch of the fingers. See if you can scoop the fingers a little farther around the corner, but keep the knees drawing into the thighs, drawing inwards to the block, right? Yeah, your feet might be a little forward of underneath your knees, so feel where you can actually be solid on your heels. That's something where oftentimes you have to assess that, redirect it. You know, change sides, keep it simple. Hand on the back bar of the chair, right on. Feel yourself squeeze into the block and turn. Yeah, if it's slightly confusing, if your knees are indeed across from each other, not slanting one forward than the other, you really might need to back off and just go slower. Be a little less ambitious because you might be able to deepen your practice with less ambition. Properly coordinate the rotation. Feel when you turn. Are you turning from your waist muscles? Are you turning from your back muscles, spine? Or are you turning and pulling from your vertebral column? So I want you to feel the amount of the muscles along the spine via twisting. Now, when we come back center, we're simply going to be like this. Our arms are beside the chair, like we're in a sitting mountain pose, right? So it has a sternness to it, doesn't it? Now, when you turn right, it's like you're kind of hovering around the chair with your arms. Feel when you turn left, okay? Notice the twisting muscles combined with the knees probably sliding a little bit, okay? Now we're going to put the blanket all the way back around the chair edge, and I'm going to remove my block from my supported Viparita Dandasana, right? So this is our chair back bend, very supportive. So I slide my seat forward to the edge of the chair, and my whole back pretty much is going to be supported on my chair seat. Let's add that block back on the bolster, just in case. Kind of put it where it's closer than you think you'll need it. And likely you're going to be holding the chair bar and all the way to the side for the duration of this pattern, okay? So feel your heels press down, feel the feet, and you might as well pivot them in a little bit. They likely turn out. So as I guide myself down onto the back of the chair, and I lower down, try today to actually get your head to that block rather than forcing getting further down to the bolster with your head. Well, it's already on the bolster, indeed, even though you have a block. Focus on this tummy stretch, okay? So I can hold the bar of the chair. It's an inversion. You can feel the change in the skin cells of the face. Just kind of, there's a little bit of a flush. So my arms could stay here. They could stretch back. Right, who knows, you might have a wall there, you might get to the bolster. Those are two options. Now, if the back is whining here, the obvious choice would be to open up your chest to help quality circulation through your whole upper reservoir from the hips up. That includes your back, right, not just your chest. So as I move my arms out, I can either be arms open, not a care in the world about how I look, but how I'm feeling to essentially open up. And then if you feel comfortable with it, you could slide your hands under the chair seat and grab the legs of the chair, right? You might get your hands to reach through and open the chest. Now, I like to straighten out the legs if I can, get that length in my legs. It feels nice. I know the low back musculature is working quite a bit here to strengthen. So feel the front of the hip bones. Now, if this is too much, you slide your feet in, bend your knees, slide your feet in. Take your feet out a little bit wider. It's fine to do that. It's not a lesser than pose or less advanced. If you want a wide bent knee stance, and heck, it feels better on your back, then do that. You're opening your chest plenty. So that's your focus. Okay, now after a few more cycles of breath, feel your feet, feel the space between the knees. Okay, now as you slide your hands out, I want to give you that option to hold the side arms of the chair and make a commitment here that you're going to lift from the beacon of the heart, like lifting from the heart up and forwards versus pulling with your arms and gripping your neck. Okay, so hold, walk your hands up as high as they can go when you're on your back, and then lift up, walk the hands up, push heels forward with the chest. Now, carefully scoot back. We're going to do a forward bend and knee circle. So if you need to do it from here, let's say that was a lot, you want to stay here, you could stay here and move forward, okay? If you don't want to move around so quickly. Or we're going to work our way towards our forward bend facing towards the wall. So you're going to stay in the seat, but turn around. And I want you to go ahead and reach down to your props here. So if you've got your bolster, you've got your block, you're going to try to put your forehead to that block. So your spine is releasing. Feel the hands maybe hold the edge of the bolster. Traction for the back. Feel where the arms are resting. And then with your hands up onto the knees, you can move the block aside for now, for a moment. And when you come up, feel where there's a natural arch in the spine and really use the hands above the knees to the thigh. Press and then push down into your heels, round your back. And take your feet together on the bolster into Baddha Konasana. So feet are together, knees are out. So balance is for your pelvis, the back of your pelvis, like it's pretty easeful right here in the back of the pelvis. So noticing that now, if leaning forward works for you, go back forward. If you're near the wall, you might find you can be here with your feet together and knees out. So with the hands pushing, this is pretty good, right? This is a nice balance of stretch through your back muscles. Now as you press, really lengthen through the arms, through the chest. Head center of the arms. Now, as I bring the hands up to the legs, I'm going to push the bolster off to the side for a moment, okay? I want you to start to guide yourself up to standing. So, as you lean forward, let's move our hips, tilt them off of the chair. So as I move up, I want you to have the hands on the tops of the thighs, bending, of course, that seems reasonable. But how is this low back providing support? So I'm going to round my back into a cat shape, push deep into the thighs, and then come on up. Okay, let's take the blanket off the chair seat for now. Toss it off to the side, and place your hands at the wall and step the left top foot back on the chair seat. Immediately work towards this front thigh lengthening. Yeah, as if this whole strip of travel down the leg, like this whole quadricep pathway. You want this energetic pull to, it's kind of traction. So go into this with the hands wide at the wall and guiding through that left foot. Toes can hook under, that's perfectly acceptable for this one. But you might feel a little bit of the nerves if you hook toes. You know, it does kind of work around the hips. And then as we're in this next path, we're going to be working with a little bit of intensity. So I encourage you to align with the breath, since it's so closely tied to the nervous system. Feeling the in-breath and relax on the out-breath. No matter what's going on. If you want more intensity, change sides. Right? If you already feel like, oh, that's enough, I'm not feeling more, get to the other side. Take on to the new lane of travel. So toes are hooked under on right foot, or the top of the foot is resting. So your pelvis is clearly has an opportunity to center itself down from the ribs, right? So you want to feel like you're kind of traveling in a container here that's supported and rising, right? Versus collapsing. So use the wall. It's nice to be held up by the wall. The top of the right thigh lengthen. Breathing. Now, keep with that right thigh. Let's do that. So, if there's anything extra you want to add in for your right quadricep, this would be the time, whether it's hooking the toes under, lifting up the heart. But as we lower the right foot to the floor, let's turn to our right and then turn all the way to the chair. So our right leg is laid to the chair underneath. Okay, so now position your hands on the seat. You might have to scoot your chair forward. It's likely, you know. But the left heel is down, and my heel could be on the floor or it could be up at the wall. It's up to you. Okay. So we have our feet on two different tracks, and we're still working in this right thigh. So as I turn to my right, I'm going to actually try with my left elbow on the chair seat. My left heel is trying to get up again. So I'm going to scoot the foot a little bit forward and see if I can enable the flesh of the foot to stretch down. There's a lot of factors, right? It's even like the flexibility of the skin of my foot here. So as I pivot to the right, my right arm goes to my back, and I'm combining that core work with the hip and engage the legs. I mean, they have no choice but to be part of this. And the coordination from the legs to the trunk to turn the waist to the right. Yeah. So feeling when we're right here, kind of in the middle path of the sequence, right? We're in between. We're right at the finale of standing poses. We're going into it now. So feel the turn from that right thigh. And then let's see what happens when we get that back leg to go up. So we're going to pivot down to the chair seat, hands on practice. And then bending through that right knee, push the chair away. Okay, slide out on your mat. You'll have tracks on the mat pretty soon. And then I'm going to lift up the left foot. Okay, the toes push, the ball of the foot, the heel, just simply into that warrior three. Now, pivot the left foot at the wall so you turn to your left with your toes and your hips and your nose and your face. Everything goes left arm goes up, do the turn the waist. Okay, feel the torso rotation. And then reach that left hand down. I want you to try and turn. And then as you go to the chair seat, pivot the back foot. Okay, bend the right knee. It might get a little bit hyperextended here, so bend through that right knee. And then we simply take the foot down, and we take up dog. So I want you to step both feet back, feet close, and then swoop forward with your hips. Lift the chest. Yeah, that's a challenge to like scoop through and make that swoosh through the waist. Okay, and then come back center and switch through. Left foot forwards under the chair seat legs. I like the wall besides my right heel. For this one, I like the wall to my heel. So I'm going to slide my chair back. Okay. So as you lower your right elbow down, you're going to pivot the waist left. And then bring the left arm up. And turn the torso. Okay, feel how the waist rotates. Feel how the ribs turn. And here's the thing, when I lower the left hand down, and I know that this left thigh is really going to get its workout, I push forward with the chair. I bend through the left knee, and then I'm kind of a seeker of balance. So when I lift up that right foot to the wall, I want you to feel each little piece of pressure from the left foot back to the right foot, down to the left hand, and then turn the waist to the right and reach the right arm up. Yeah, it's okay to layer poses together that we usually would take more time to get through, but kind of find the connecting through the dots and do a little bit more intensity. And we might find we explore some new poses this way. Some new pose pathways. So when that leg length occurs, and there might be a little rebuttal internally. And so as I lower the right hand, I almost feel I'm going to scoop. Like we got a little bit of core. I'm going to turn my head, turn my neck muscles. And then I run the hand down, I pivot the back foot, I step it down. And then I lower down to my knees. So I'm going to take a blanket, place it across the mat, and then lower my knees down. I want you to stretch your chair front, and the block is optional on this shoulder opener. Think of this as a chest and shoulder opener as well. So I'm going to have my knees, I'm kneeling, head center of arms to my chair seat. And then when my hands are holding the block wide, I'm going to move the block back towards my upper back. Stretch through the triceps. And now as you move up with the block center, move it forward. And then let's come up with our right foot to the right outer side. Okay, so we're into a widening lunge. And the block isn't really that essential for this, so if you don't want to hold on to it, no big deal. But have that chair under you, so you kind of feel like there's a side of your arm strength balancing with your upper body weight into the chair. So it's not like you're thrusting your ribs forward and putting all the struggle in your shoulders, but it's balancing between your arms and your upper back. Right, so that might be interesting here. So when the right foot is turned out, the left thigh has some opportunity to lengthen. So feel that left thigh. Toes could be under, top of the foot could be down, the back leg. Either way is up to you. Balance back, the hips, knees, and switch sides. From knees together to left foot out to that left side. Finding a way of shifting your right quadricep down. The arch of your spine. And how does that left inner thigh feel through this? Like, how does it motion externally, meaning the knee moves out, and internally in the thigh? So if your left inner thigh is so-so, it feels like it's being pried and opened, but it's not discomfort. You might work with finding the equanimity in that, just balance your mind through it. Breathing. Now we've let our buttocks kind of be more of a receptive mode, not like they need to grip and muscle into the patterns. So we're going to change some things about the glutes in a bit. So when we come back, we're going to take pigeon pose here. So I want you to slide your bolster across, and your chair can be anywhere USA right now. It doesn't have to be closer to the wall or farther away, or it doesn't have to be part of your pose, but you're going to slide the left leg across or lock the foot across into Kapotasana, pigeon, and you might like the pattern where you're a little bit upright. So you're more of that back bend. Very recently we were in a back bend. Seems like it was a while back, but so I'm kind of lifting up from the navel, center of the belly, chest, breastbone, sternum. That whole area is lifting. I'm trying to pack some support in my shoulders there. Shoulder packing. Now you could lean into your chair. You could already be there. You could have your head on your chair or on another blanket, whatever you might like. And you might want to stay right into somewhere in between those two positions, upright and forwards. Now as I lean to my left buttock and I switch the pigeon pose to my right leg, I would simply lean into the right thigh and switch sides. So my right leg is bending, open, external rotation for the hip. Now, if the top of your left thigh is not quite able to lengthen back, I would use the support of your hands on the chair seat, and maybe you're touching the wall with your left foot a little bit. Center your waist, your hips, right? The balance of the spine. Now, when you feel that natural arch into your back, kind of noticing stability, and we're going to take this for a few more moments here. You might lean forwards. Now, as we come back, we're going to basically shift our left leg forward and sit on our blanket. Right, it's back there, it's there. Feel if you can get your legs on the chair seat. So noticing that we have all these supports, right? We got a blankie, we got a bolster, we got chair, we're kind of in boat pose mode here. So if you've got little handles on your bolster, they actually come in quite handy for some poses more than you thought. So you can grab a hold and press the bolster to the back of the thicker parts of the thighs. I'm going to kind of edge my seat a little bit higher so I've got the bolster back behind me. Now, it doesn't work for everybody the same way, but I'm working on lifting up at the chest, and then I bring my hands back on the floor, open up through the chest, and lift up, not focusing on leaning forward whatsoever, okay? It's kind of a comfortable boat pose, I would have to say. It gives the same information load into my muscles, but my nervous system isn't quite so whacked out from the other varieties I've done. But it has the same load into the legs, right? They don't know the difference between, they do know when they're stressed out or your nervous system is stressed. So now when we come through this one, we're going to slide the bolster away. And then I want you to bring your left leg under the chair seat and the right knee bends, and you're going to turn towards your right leg bending. And I don't think you have to be too picky or closer to the wall space, but you might use it, you might not. You're going to slide in your sandbag on top of the right thigh, okay? All right, so we're in this phase of the practice where we're being very specified about the muscle load. Okay, so we have our load of our sand. Okay, my right foot is close to my left knee. I'm a little cautious of my knee fold. So if you want something under your right knee, like a ball or a block, use it. This is a good time to add it. If the knee seems pretty comfortable, then don't do a thing to it. Okay? Don't mess with something that's going well. So I've got my left elbow on the chair seat. I'm going to try to reach for that back bar. If I can get the bar and my left arm hasn't been cut off from blood flow, I can stay with that. I have to kind of feel my way through that. Now, get your hands onto that side waist. That is really your side, not your ribs in the front. It's the side. Like you're trying to smooth that down to the center. So let that side elongate so you can loosen up some of the wiring here in your torso, your side muscles, your lateral muscles. Okay. Now, if letting your elbow bend and your head be held into your left hand is nice, you might take that pose. Now, my hand could stay holding onto my side. I'm going to let my arm relax down without trying to force it a certain way. Just going to let the arm rest. And then feel the breath coming in and feeling it leave. Even though there's always further to go, feel what you are right now with your side and your muscles. Using the breath to calm you down. Now try to let that right leg basically be externally rotated and kind of stapled down. That is fairly assertive that you have sand on it, so it's not going to fly out. Okay, so when you lower down the left arm, you're going to slide from the arm to bring yourself up tall. And then we'll take a simple cross-legged position. So I want you to push the chair a little bit distant from your core. Turn to the chair and cross the left leg forward of the right shin and change the sand to your left thigh. If you have two sandbags, put one on each thigh, okay? If you have two. If not, you have one on the left leg, okay? Now, as you lift up and out through the arms, interlace the fingers, just take it on because it's a good approach to your arm muscles anyhow. And then when we lean forwards, hands reach, should be within easy arm's reach, your chair seat. Lean forwards. Now, of course, you have blocks. So if you want to block under each knee, just get a block. You take it. Feels better. It must be better. Okay. Support yourself. Yeah. Try to host the body parts with support when possible. So as we lead into this experience for the effects in our back and our hip, let the mind move from its back to its center. And now as you come up, this left thigh has a little bit of load in the hip. So we keep the sand on it. If you have two sand, move the right off. Now we change sides. We bring the right leg straight under the chair. If you move your blocks away, that might work out better for you here. You're going to turn left, so you want to turn torso, but I want you to keep these poses rather physical and not get too sleepy in them. So try to stay up, stay aware. They're the poses that might be affected in your constitution, right? So when you lean into your right arm and lengthen, you know, one side might be a very different reachability than the other. It's very possible that it's very different, okay? So give yourself a go on getting the back bar of the chair, get the arm far into the chair itself. Use this as a branch. Maybe you have to visualize being a monkey in a forest or something, but you're visualizing reaching to a branch. And then lift up the left arm a little bit, give it some motion. Give your arm reach behind you. Lean into your right arm. Okay, now when you get a feel here of that leaning, we're going to work into hand on the back, slide up to center, and then turn to your chair seat. One last pose here. Cross leg, right foot forward and left. So you just take the leg that was under the chair and fold it in. And then moving your sand over to your right thigh, or one on each. And then as you lean forward, how about using this time instead of arms up, hands on the chair seat? Lift up at an inhale. They're usually upright patterns on inhales anyway. And then as you exhale, reach forward. Let the brain relax. Maybe it's best medicine for you to let your forehead touch. As you come upright, and you start to change the pattern with the block, the sand, take that away. And let's bring our chair, move it aside, and move forward on hands and knees. Okay? So take the right leg back. Situate your hands under your shoulders, your knees under your hips. Pressing your toes under. And as they're under you, lift up your knees and stretch your heels a little bit up at the wall. In fact, use the wall as a support. So hands push the floor away. Arch through the back. Feel that arch. Okay, now as you Continue on here. We're going to have the feet touch towards each other, big toes towards touching. Lift the right foot up at the wall. So you are doing a balancing position. Feel that foot up at the wall and layer in your hips so they're basically your right hip shifts down. It's not trying to pop out like a half moon pose. It's pivoting down so you're really in a one-legged balanced pose, right? You're in the splits, okay. Now switch sides, right foot down. If you need to take a breather, come down on the hands and knees, that's great. Or come into the second side, left foot up. Now feeling where the hands are spreading out through the fingers and bones and hands. Number 2, create strength in the muscles, you're going to move the bones and then vice versa. To strengthen the bones, moving through the muscles. Now, as I lower the left foot down, I'm going to situate my knees onto the blanket and get my bolster, place it underneath my torso. Yeah. So keep it pretty simple here. When you lower down onto your bolster, forward and down, edge your elbows to the floor, and then as the elbows press down, you're going to push into your feet and lengthen through the torso. Right, press into your feet, lengthen through the front body. Elbows press down. Feel that natural arch to the spine. Okay, now this is such an activating back energy position. Now when you lower down your chest, obviously it's pretty easy because you have a bolster there. Hover, bring your hands to widen out, bend your elbows to squeeze into your sides. Lift up dog. Try to bear witness to that pressure into your feet and that length all the way from the front of your hips. Use the bolster. Like, see if you can let your body weight relax into the bolster. Like it's pressing with some significance with the hands and the strength up into the torso. But you have it, right? You have that strength in your torso to work with this. Breathe. Now we come back into side stage. So we're going to lean down to our left hip. And I'm going to simply guide onto my left exterior thigh. My right thigh stretches back. Move any distance away from the wall that you find will be easier on your knee. You don't want to push our knee into the wall. So we take a sandbag and we place it up, or any bag of weight that you have would be great for us. On the exterior right waist, right? That layer of awareness from your ribs, your thick ribs, down into that kind of mystery torso swoosh here, right? You want to let that be supported. Feel what gives you traction. Is it your sand closer to your hip bone and below? Or is it right on the torso? Okay. Now as your right arm stretches up and then lengthen, get the thick back ribs to reach, reach, reach. And then the left hand is circling around the right wrist. And we carry our torso over. Relax the weight of your head. If this is uncomfortable in your shoulder joints, you can always take the bolster that's under your side and turn it so it's horizontal, and then place your head on the blanket set. Okay, so there's options. This might still work. Now, feeling what is helpful here would be to widen the breath, like you're imagining that not just your belly can balloon, but really your ribs can sensation, expansion in the rib cage. Expansion is pretty natural with deep breathing. For some of us, it just helps us get through life, but we might use the breath as a bit of a sensation experience, filling the body, spaciousness, cleansing. Now the right arm goes down for certain. At the end, let that arm cool off. Cooling arm. Now we'll come back to reclining cobbler's pose. So we'll let the sand slip off. I try to stay very close to my bolster with my ribs, but here's what I like to do on this version. Is I put my block under my bolster, then I'm really close to it, right? When I turn my back onto the bolster, my feet together, try to stretch your feet onto the wall. So your foot, the bottom of your foot, your toes are stretching, right? You're trying to stretch from the base of the toe all the way through the joint to the toe. So try that. If that doesn't feel right for you, don't do it. Of course, you don't have to. But if your knees don't like it, that's another story, right? You might need to put in some a pack of towels under each leg to support the knees. And if all is well, so far so good, stretch the arms open. If it doesn't work for your feet nor your knees, be here with your knees pointing up and stretch the bottom of your foot, stretch the toes up to the wall with the ball of the foot down. So this is an option as long as the chest is centered. This is the important part, is the chest. All the other things are extra, special additions, boosters. Feel. Maybe your feet are together. Be wise with your ankles, your knees. If it tells you otherwise, change. Feel your inner thighs gently stretch. Might feel pretty intense in the legs. Now with the back of your hands relaxed. The breath slow and deep. Now as the knees move up to point up to center, we can roll to the right hip and take side sage with the right side down, okay? So now we have the sand back again. Now if your exterior right hip is centered and weighted, add the sand to the exterior left hip. And again, the right arm stretches now. I've got the block there. You could feel, what is it like with the block? Is it easier for my shoulder? Is it more challenging? You might find it works both directions. So feel what's best for you. The key here is so that you're comfortable. So the left thigh stretches back. The wall could be actually useful. And make sure your hip is on a blanket, your right hip. Okay, here we are. Left arm reaches, right hand circles the wrist. Breathe. Now, as that left arm cools off the shoulder, bring it down. Left arm comes down to the floor, the hand. Okay, now as you slide the sand aside, okay, we have this left hip is the opening hip. We're going to come around carefully, knees in, roll in, careful, come up. And let's take our bolster over to the side. I want you to basically put your blanket back, get a block, okay? Situate your feet up at the wall, move your blanket away. You don't have to have it. You might like it under your head, but it's possibly not the most useful support mechanism here for your neck. So feel what's best. We want to keep our spine material touching the floor, not too much unusual arching yet. Okay, so I feel pretty much spine centered, right foot at the wall. We just had our left leg back, so I want to keep going with that. Left foot crosses over to the right knee. And use your block. There it is. Press the block, the side of the block above in the left knee. I don't want you to be pushing on the knee itself, but to the skin, to the fleshy space of the inner thigh on that left leg, and push it away. Now, if your shoulders are kind of going up to your ears, you need to flatten your block. Okay, you need it flat, but press it away so that inner thigh tissue is waking up. We're going all the way through to the end in inversions right now. So this inner thigh tissue where the lymph is in the groins, we're trying to stimulate that circulation. The density of it is clear. So I want you to stay with that pressure for a little bit longer. If your shoulders get tired, see if you can back off, let your shoulders center back. Use your hands, they're going to be working out here. And now when you switch sides, left foot up to the wall, right foot crosses the left knee, block to the right thigh. Try to press. Don't focus so much on, oh, I'm getting my hip to stretch. Oh, yes, that's better. Maybe I need to move my foot at the wall. Focus on adapting that position of the block to kind of palpate the inner thigh tissues, even if it's moving. You're kind of squishing it. You're trying to mush the tissue. Adductor mush. Okay. Now, for the fun of it, we're going to bring our feet to the wall, lift up our hips, put a block mid-height underneath the sacrum. Actually, for me, it's really kind of tailbone-ish, sacrum, tailbone space, and then let the legs kick up in the air without the wall. Now, this is where you could choose for the blanket under your head or not. You be the decider. But I'm trying to focus on the rich landscape of my bones here. So I can feel the allotment of weight into my block, and I want to move my feet a little forward. Now, here's the interesting part. Today, when we do legs up the wall or shoulder stand, most of you know legs up the wall, right? That's in your repertoire of experiences. When you have the legs at the wall, you can't move them farther forwards because the wall is a limitation for that, although it's really wonderful to have. So I want you to position yourself so you can feel your legs move a little forward to balance the lower belly circulation. Okay? Place your feet at the wall. So you actually push into it now. And then as you push into the wall, feel how the buttocks get a little bit of grip around the sides of the buttocks. And bring your arms to the floor, palms open, shoulders. Try to roll back and down. Okay. This is like such a supported bridge, you don't have to do much. You just are in the angles of the leg joints and the hips. Since we don't have a blanket, this is safe. We're going to feel the weight gradually push into our feet. And then it slides up the back, right, all the way to the upper back. Okay? Now as you push into your feet and you lift up your hips off of the block, feel where you have that space between the shoulder blades, weighted, and just above the shoulder blades, weight. And then slide the block away and lower your spine down to the floor. Might actually feel good. Okay. Take a few drawbridges. So you'll bring your arms overhead and lift your hips up at the same time. Reach through the arms behind you. Only lift enough that it feels like it's the right amount of circulation to your upper back, and then lower the spine down. Okay. Feel the weight in the back of your pelvis, feel the arch in the spine. Inhale 2 more times. We'll inhale more than 2 more times. Lift the hips up, be very careful with your spine, and then lower down. It's like a precious string of pearls here. Lower the vertebra. Or the vertebra. Or the vertebrae. Okay, now the last time, we may have added one here, I'm not sure. When we lift up, I want you to get a feel for where the weight is at the back of your head. Right? So I'm moving my blanket away. I don't want that. I want my cervical spine to be supported, not overloaded with pressure. Okay? Now squeezing, feel the glutes, the buttock muscles, feel that squeeze. We didn't use a block today, it's very different. We always rely on one. So try to adapt so your knees are angled, pointing up about hips distance. And then as I lower my spine down, I hug the knees into the chest. Okay, arms open out, make sure you have space beside you. Knees over to the right, knees together, comfort, keep them close. Come back to center, knees to the opposite side. Left or right, wherever you want, opposite side. Take it one more time each side, cross over, do whatever motion that feels good for your hip. And sometimes you want sand on your external hip too. Now as we journey into our final inversion here, mentally focus on the back of your head supported. We're going to continue that support no matter what we do. So roll to the side, okay? You're going to take shoulders down. I want you to get your chair to have a blanket on the top and a bolster at the base. I'll show that one today. If you're going to do legs up the wall, what you do is put your bolster at the base. You can see a few tutorials I have on and you're going to swing your legs up the wall, okay? So, two options. If you've got the chair, what I want you to take is your folding chair. Distant from the wall is an option. You could also have it close to the wall, right? And have your feet touching the wall. Okay, but if you're not close to the wall, don't get too close so that when you slide out, you actually slide into the wall. I want you to have enough space from that if you're not choosing the wall to hold you. So we take our chair to place a bolster at the feet of it. That's what we did. All right, so now as we come into our shoulder stand, we've got the support of the bolster. Sometimes having an extra blanket on top of the bolster is useful depending on the length. But I want you to come into this so that the legs lift up the back bar of the chair. Get a feel that you scoot your seat through, and then when you lower down onto your chair, your legs are kind of scooped over. But once you guide your shoulders back onto the bolster, take your time, lengthen out anything so that your head is not snagged by any unusual objects tied around your hair. Okay, so shoulders have to move back and alleviate the shoulders by this pose. So feel where your chest is kind of comfortably open. It's not severe, it's very established in its center. And then getting one leg up maybe at a time, or maybe you go together with your legs. I want you to feel that the hands are under the chair through to the rungs of the chair. Now, I learned a little bit with this one where you could put your hands on the chair with the hands under the blanket. So you lift up your fingers to the chair seat and you press down into your fingers and work on opening up through the ribs. Okay, it's a little bit of a balance conundrum. And you might find that holding the rungs is just fine for you. No need to add anything unusual. So carry on, hands reaching through. Find the part of the rungs where you're feeling just the right amount of challenge, not too much, not trying to force getting your hands to the base of the chair or all the way up to the seat. Find what works for you, and then let your throat relax. You really are on the occiput, right, in the back of your head. You're landing there on the occiput, on that occipital ridge. So you're going to feel the brain calm down once you establish that center. And challenge your feet. Remember we mentioned when we had our block under our back, feet move a little forwards. Feel that sweet spot of balance for your stomach.
and your organs reversing the gravitational pull on them. Take a few slow breaths. Feel how the exhalation elongates. At any time you want to take a change of awareness in the legs, you could separate, move them out a little bit to more of a wider angle, move them in so they're simply apart. You could push up into the heels. You can also bring the feet on the back rest and the soles of them closer together, the knees out. Find Cobra's pose here. Now, if you're not taking shoulder stand and your legs up the wall, keep in mind you can use your sandbag on the soles of your feet. That's kind of nice. Not so easy here. Now, however your shoulder stand is unwinding right now, let's meet with our feet at the back bar of the chair. Let's meet at the bar here. And feel if you can get both of the legs resting on that bar, okay? Some of us, it might be the back of the thighs that rests on the back of the knees, but you're trying to keep those legs kind of as a united, they're certainly like a uni leg here. Okay, now is it possible to keep the chest walls open? Give yourself freedom. If you want to relax your feet a little bit, that's fine. Remember, it's about being upside down, not having that exact perfection every second of the pose. Feel being upside down too. And then start to guide your feet so they are on the bar, right? They can help guide you down, lower them to the seat, and then slide the hands out. And here's an idea here, a trick. So I push my feet into the chair seat and my hands push. So those two places of energy are pushing. They're not pulling. I'm not pulling with my arms. So I push. And when you slide back, be cautious that you really are sliding on the back of your head. You don't have to pull your neck up. You slide back. You might have to let go of the chair. And then let your body rest for a few moments here so that your back of your waist is on the bolster. So now if you just have your rear on the bolster, it's not going to do enough for your release. Slide it up so it's on the back of your waist. Okay. Because that whole area had the arch. Right? So when you're here, whether you slid down from the wall, from legs up the wall, or you're from shoulder stand into legs supported, let your arms relax, center, mind, and all its fuses. See if you can cool them down. Breathe with a lift at the heart. And then to the center of the belly. Now from the legs relaxed, let them stay relaxed. That helps with opening up the hips. We're going to guide the feet at the edge of the chair or the wall and roll to the side. Guide yourself over, hands push down, and then slide yourself up. If you're sitting on a bolster, sitting on a blanket or a block, bring the knees out open, hands relaxed as they expand out on the thighs. And then with the brain bowing down to your heart center, lift from there. Let your eyes close from their top to their bottoms. Guide your shoulders back. Lift the hands up to meet in a prayer position in front of your heart. Bow into the space behind the heart. Inhale together. And with exhales, bowing into that space. Namaste. Okay. All right.
It's good to do a shoulder stand today. I have to say that was great.